Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to
SpectrumMamis.
How's it going? How's your week? A lot of things going on in the world.
Yeah. Well, I don't watch news, but luckily I have you.
I don't watch, that much either, but uno se entera de cosas.
It's fake news.
No, it's not fake news.
Most of it.
Bueno, some of it.
Most of it is fake
Some
news.
of it.
But,
unfortunately, before we get into everything else, I guess we have to talk. Listen, I'm not Cuban. I'm only Cuban by injection.
I knew she was going to say that shit. But here's the thing. I think that, well, first of all, whether you're Cuban or not.
No, exactly. This is human rights.
It is.
This is about human rights. And the images, kids sleeping in la afuera, en una acera. It's
like your kids are part Cuban. You've been there.
Exactly.
So you've seen it. But I think that it's a human race thing. It doesn't matter whether you've been there. And I think especially even with you too, because you are from another, well, you're from the United States, obviously.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of people in Puerto Rico struggle as well, that, and a lot of other places. So you get it. You get it. And I think that even if you don't.
Even if you have no links, I have, my kids are half Cuban. I'm Cuban by injection.
Exactly.
All that stuff. Okay, I get it. But even if you don't have that, ¿qué me estás queriendo decir? What's going on? Pues así se queda. Apagado vamos a estar hoy. Anyway, yo me inspiré y eso se apagó. Yo me iba a inspirar. Bueno, whatever. Anyway, going back, even if you're not Cuban, even if you have no links, this is about human rights.
Right.
Same thing that a lot of things are going on in Haiti. And, you see all those, images and videos and it breaks your heart. I mean, you come on, some compassion, some, something, it triggers something in you, seeing that these people can be doing better. Right? So our hearts go to, the Haiti community, Haitian community, the Cubans also, Cuba, hopefully. I would like my kids to enjoy una Cuba libre. A mí me gustaría que ellos vieran eso. And hopefully it happens soon.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous, the stuff that.
I honestly, I've said it, and people are gonna be like, what? But I'll explain why. To me, Fidel Castro was a genius.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but there's people that if you say something like that, how can you say that?
No. Para la maldad.
Si él hubiera usado esa cabeza,
esa inteligencia to do good, absolutely. I've always thought that.
Cuba could be, vaya, es un.
But also I want to make people always talk about cuando Fidel se caiga, and what? He died how long ago? And things haven't changed. If anything, they've gotten worse.
But
you think that no one was gonna take over?
But that shows you how él ya lo tenía tramado.
Of course.
Y él, his mind, people, to be in a position that he was for so many years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who has done that?
No. And offer for the bad. It's just. And unfortunately, I can't put myself in the shoes of people that have family there, and that, especially if you leave an immediate family member there. You come here seeking freedom, and you leave a family member, an immediate family member. I can only imagine what it must feel to those family members that are here, to leave them in those conditions. Of course they're going to go whenever they can, as much as they can, and of course they're going to send money and food and whatever it is that they can possibly get their hands on to send. But unfortunately, that helps one. It doesn't help anybody else, and that's not what el pueblo needs.
Pero déjame decirte que the people that don't have anyone.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? That's another thing. The people that don't have anybody.
How worse can it be?
Can it be? Yeah. Exactly. What about the people that don't have anybody? You know, and unfortunately, what causes part of the problem, I think, anyway. And I'm sorry if it's really difficult when you to think that you have somebody in those situations, somebody that's, you know, a son, a daughter, a mother, a father over there. In that situation, you're going to do whatever you can to be able to, you know, help. But that also doesn't help when se van a tirar para la calle and protest them. Because a lot of people are not going to take that risk, because there's a lot of risk, because you're not free. And you're not free to say those things and do those things. But when you still get a little bit from your family, you're probably not going to jeopardize it and throw yourself to the street. The people that are throwing themselves to the street are probably those people, those even more less unfortunate people that don't have anybody here to send them anything.
Right. Well, pretty much.
I mean,
lo que están más
and now with the way that the economy is, and with the cost of living here, and the way things are, there's the people that used to send are having a very difficult time sending because they can't live.
That's one thing.
That's another thing.
They're hurting over there.
They're hurting over there because of the economy over here. I mean, they have to be. Right. They have to be. Because I don't care who you are. If you are suffering in this economy, you're not sending the packages that you used to send.
Y pagando lo que tienes que pagar
prior to 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not political.
No, at all. But seriously, $10 for a carton of egg? But anyway.
Yeah, our hearts go out to the Cuban community y también there's a fine line. How much can we help from over here?
No.
We can't send money. We can't send any goods, any food or anything, because it's not going to go. No va a llegar a las manos correctas.
Mm-hmm.
So ahí no podemos hacer nada.
Right.
We just can't. The only thing that we can do is share so people can know what's happening over there, and que la voz corra, y hopefully something happens.
And I know it's easier said than done, and I know that, you know, it's got to be scary too, like if you're here and your family members are like doing that tirándose para la calle, so to speak. That is very scary, but unfortunately that is what they need to do. At this point, that is what they need to do.
Most likely. There's
if you are a parent that your child is sleeping on the floor, like the images that you told me you saw, is sleeping on the floor, and they have no electricity, and they have no food, and they have no power, and they're sleeping on the floor outside in the street.
En una acera.
Listen.
Con colchas
it is your duty. It is your duty as a parent to not blame anybody else.
No.
To not blame, because I see a lot of it. I always feel like Cuba's always blaming the United States for something. It's never their fault.
No.
It's never their government. And what I mean by Cuba, I mean like the government over there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stop pointing fingers.
You know, sorry to interrupt you. One of the things I saw was people marching and saying no más muela, no más muela.
That's funny.
Me dio risa, pero a la misma vez es que es verdad. Lo tienen ahí, guau, 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 le hablan tanta cosa y le dicen tanta cosa.
Not only that, they're also like completely blinded to the real situation too. Like a lot of them have. I always say that the people from the El Pueblo, it's almost like they have Stockholm syndrome. Like they believe all the shit that is fed to them. The majority of the time. And a lot of
that
them
has changed.
No, that has changed, and that this is it's evident by people throwing themselves to the street. It's evident. But did you know
before social media, antes de social media?
Yeah. Well, yes, but they also get their social media cut.
Bueno,
when
right now,
I'm sure they have no social media, which is actually very interesting because they cut it when they know they need to cut it.
Right.
Right. So, like, I'll give you a good example. When COVID hit, according to Cuba, there was no cases of COVID in Cuba, which is bullshit. COVID was full. Cuba was full of COVID. You couldn't go to. I mean, it was really hard to travel to Cuba, anyways, or travel anywhere during the beginning stages of COVID. But even when they lifted all that and you were able to go, you couldn't go without coming back with COVID. Like, you mean to tell me that as filthy as Cuba is, they weren't gonna have COVID over there? Like, but they were fed all these lies. Like, I've seen like people talking on the phone with their family members, and they're like, no, because they don't have that here. Just like over there, they don't rape over there.
No,
they don't do this, they don't do that. Like, really? There's no kids with autism. Eso es algo de los Estados Unidos.
I was just gonna yes.
That's something that was invented by the United States or whatever.
I was told once that
and no,
it must be me.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes.
No anden esa gaveta. No.
Hay cucarachas.
Hay cucarachas.
Sí, no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've heard. No, eso no se oía en Cuba.
I can't tell you how many times people have told us, but especially Thomas, because he works with a lot of people from Cuba. How many times people have told him that no, actually, there's a lot of autism in Cuba. The problem is that you're calling it something else.
Retardado.
Right. Or you're hiding the kids and you're not letting other people see them. Or you're just assuming that they are incapable of doing anything and they're just...
Lo tienen encerrado en una casa.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah.
¿Y qué más da?
Yeah. And I think I've actually mentioned this in one of our episodes before, but my mom, now thinking back, she's told me that she remembers kids, and nobody knew what that was, but she remembers kids that she were in her neighborhood. My mom left Cuba in 1970, and she remembers kids. She was 19 years old at the time, and she remembers kids that grew up around the time that she did, that now looking back, oh my God, they must have definitely been on the spectrum. All the signs were there, but nobody knew what that was.
Yes.
You know, and then there also wasn't resources
but
either.
It's not just Cuba. It's all around.
Yeah.
All over. And it was that word, retarded. Retardado. Es que es retardado.
No.
¿Qué es eso?
You would hear it all the time. No, fulanito lo que se quedó bruto. O fulanito lo que se quedó lo que es bobo.
Sí, él es medio bobito.
Yeah.
Es el bobito de la familia o algo así.
Yeah.
You used to hear shit like that.
Yeah.
Que ahora, por Dios, if you use something like that.
No, well, it's cruel and you shouldn't use
it. It is cruel.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not politically correct y que no sé qué y no sé cuánto y todo el mundo outrage, pero antes esas cosas se usaban así. No, porque Dios mío. Pero bueno.
Yeah. But anyways, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So yeah, we are praying that the people in Cuba get somewhere this time with this and keep doing it. Listen, it's scary. It's scary to your family members here, and it's scary you have to, but unfortunately, your kids, you need to grow up here for your kids. And they are the future, and they are the most important thing, and you just have to do it. Yeah. There is somebody told me not long ago that yes, no, because the the cops will imprison them and they'll beat them up and they'll do this, and then somebody else said, because I don't know, I'm not gonna pretend I know a lot about Cuba. I don't have close family members. I have like far cousins that I don't even know. I don't have any family, so to speak, other than like far cousins that I don't know. So I don't know enough about Cuba. But
so I'm Cuban by injection, and you're Cuban by.
Well, I mean, my mom left Cuba when she was 19, and we were all born here. And then my husband's mom left Cuba when she was around the same age as my mom, 18, 19. And my husband's been to Cuba twice. I've never been. So I don't really know. I don't pretend to know a lot about Cuba, about what's going on now. And I don't also, as you know, I don't really watch news much. But they need to tirarse para la calle. They need to do that. Yes, there is risks, and yes, there's cops or whatever you want to call them. But there's more of you than there is of them, and you can take them down.
Yes.
There is more.
Saquen machete,
whatever it is.
Fuego.
Whatever it is.
Ay, Dios mío.
Listen.
Déjame no decir muchas cosas porque después voy a decir, esa que salió de... Ay, Dios mío. Pero es que es verdad.
You know what happened? Like, Trump said go out to the Capitol or whatever. And then it was his fault what happened January 6th.
Listen, don't compare me.
No. But what I'm saying is you can't just you can't even say like, oh,
shit.
A protest.
Sí.
And then you're
instigating, que no sé qué, y entonces te metes tremendo.
Isn't that one of his many charges is supposedly the January 6th thing? I don't know what the freak I did. Whatever. But anyway.
Yeah. So, si ven que van a darle a uno, vayan y métase. There's ways, and I feel like, it's enough.
Yeah. There's more of you than there is. There's more of the entire pueblo than there is of them. Guaranteed. You could take them down.
And the same, Haiti's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
The situation in Haiti is a little different. Pero es que tanta miseria.
Yeah.
Y que nadie ayude de su propio, creo que el gobernador se fue para carajo or whatever. Yo no sé.
And then when you say también, that's a whole other bone that I have to pick. Because I'm all for helping other countries. But our country needs a lot of help.
Sí.
And that's another thing, like, and I know we're not supposed to get political, and we're going back there again, but it's almost like we can't not go back there. Can we stop sending money to Ukraine, please? Thank you. There's no reason why Ukraine needs to be getting money when we can't afford our groceries. So I always say, my grandmother passed away in 2013. No, 2012, 11, around, I don't know, 2012, I think. And my grandmother used to say, que yo no entiendo. I would see her watching the news. She'd be like, este es el único país que tiene que ayudar a los demás países. Este es el único país que está jodido y tiene que ayudar a los demás. And that's a whole other thing.
It's like the history of the United States, and it's almost like...
It's like, I get it.
But I know we shouldn't keep on sending. That's
it's ridiculous.
100%.
It's
agree.
ridiculous. The last I checked, I don't know what it is now, but it was like I don't even want to say it because I don't want to make a mistake and then somebody call me out on it. But I think it was like 70 billion. 70 billion.
But at the same time, when something happens and United States doesn't step in, all eyes are on United States.
Yeah, but 70 billion.
Pero a eso lo que quiero llegar es que there is a fine line, right?
Right.
But we always, no matter what, we have to step in. Whether it's a little bit or a lot,
right?
But we have to step in.
Yeah,
because if we don't...
But that's the thing. But stepping in is one thing. And this other country being completely dependent on... And listen, ahí hay gato encerrado. There's a reason why that money's going there. 100%. For whatever that reason is. I don't pretend to know about politics, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
What I don't know, I don't talk. But stop. That's it. Enough. Most of us can't afford our groceries.
Con todo eso es damn if you do and damn if you don't.
I recently read an article that suggested that in this day and time here in the United States, a family of 4 that made $120,000 a year is struggling. I can tell you that we are struggling. And we are a family of 4 making probably a little more than that. And we are struggling. I can't, like, people say, oh, well, just like, you know, eat just rice and beans or whatever, or just like, you know, no, I need to feed my kids like the food that they like. And I'm not gonna, like, it doesn't make any sense to me that, I don't know what other people, I don't know you guys, because you guys are like, you're what, 5, no?
4.
I can't count. You're also 4. Well, I mean, you have Manuel's kids that come over, but so you're technically,
we're 6, but technically here,
yeah. Like, I don't know about you guys, or maybe like, because I know that some states are like more expensive than others. Well, let's not even get into housing. That's a whole other issue. But I'm spending over $300 of groceries every month. I mean, every week.
I was gonna say every month. ¿Dónde están comiendo?
Yeah. I'm spending over $300 easily. Over $300 a week of groceries. And the crazy thing is groceries.
Y tratando de aguantar.
No, eso es tratándome de aguantar. Eso es planning out the meals. To making sure that I don't buy stuff I don't need and that I buy what I do need. And which is really, really hard for me to do. And to stick to a budget and to stick to a meal plan. And not only that, I don't just like go to Publix every week. I'll go to Publix because, you know, it's the most expensive one. Or to certain like stores that are too expensive. Dos o tres cositas, I go to Publix, but I'll try to do like the bigger bulk of it at Aldi or at Walmart. I'll buy some stuff at one, I'll buy some stuff at the other. Like, I shop around and I try to smart buy. And still, I am spending over $300 a week on groceries.
Y a veces se te va más o menos eso sin comprar carne.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's like,
yeah.
But anyway, we've talked about all of that.
We always go off the rails, but it's all important. And
you know, we went like, we're all over the place. Pero bueno.
So, today's topic.
Yes.
Now that we talked a little bit about Cuba and about everything else. A little bit about everything else. Financials. Well, this is also financial, really, because...
Oh, there you go.
Because this advice or knowledge, if you will... will probably
that was pretty good.
Will help you keep your job because we need a job right now.
Oh God!
Do you remember Friday? You've seen that movie?
Yeah.
J-O-B. Yeah.
At that job. So yes,
you gotta be the dumbest motherfucker to get fired on your day off. I love that movie. I can't watch that movie enough. Anyway.
No, she's seen it so many times. I can't.
Yeah,
can't even remember. Time, half of it. But she.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So, FMLA.
Yes.
Family Medical Leave Act.
FMLA.
Yes, I think it's Family Medical Leave Act.
There you go.
Yes. So, if you don't have it, you need it. The end. No.
Yes. The end.
So,
bye. Bye, everybody. See you next week. Hasta la próxima.
No. So, you had FMLA when you worked full time.
Yes.
I had FMLA back when we met, that we both worked full time. And Thomas has FMLA. He's had it for a few years now.
Right.
I recently had my sister-in-law, I talked to my sister-in-law about her getting FMLA as well, because my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law has advanced Parkinson's disease and has had a stroke, and she has a lot of medical issues related to her Parkinson's disease, and it's always a little surprise. You never know when you're gonna have to leave work early when you have a family member with any kind of special need. FMLA, I didn't know about it when I first got it. I got it like around 2010. No, that's wrong. Like around 2012, I got FMLA. And this FMLA was actually suggested to me by a supervisor that I had at the time. But this is the kicker. Most supervisors are not going to tell you about FMLA.
Nope.
Because it's not beneficial to them to tell you about it. I got very lucky that, I mean, I probably would have, because, you know, we're go-getters and we search and so I would have found out about it eventually. Right. But I think that I'm very grateful at that time that my supervisor brought it up to me, because she was noticing that when I was at work, I gave my all to work. And I was pretty good at my job, and I was good at like help train other people that would come in. Like, I liked my job for the most part, and I did pretty good. My numbers were okay. I worked at a call center, and you know, so it's all like number based. But it wasn't always showing on my evaluations, because I was out every so often, or I was late, or I had to leave early. And even though it wasn't a habit, it was clearly due to issues beyond my control. Mm-hmm. And so my supervisor said to me, listen, I understand.
Not many do.
But most people don't. And when somebody comes and asks me, why is this person out once a month? And why, you know, and being out on vacation is another thing, but like, why is this person constantly calling out? Or why is this person...
Sí.
And she's going to have to... It's her job too. Like I would say. You know, she has to give a report to her superiors, and that superior has to give a report. So I was very grateful that she told me a little bit about it, and I researched it, and I was able to get FMLA. So basically what that means is... So how do you want to present it? So I'm thinking of, what is it, right?
Right.
So FMLA is the Family Medical Leave Act. And a lot of times too, when you go on maternity leave, you might also have an FMLA, because you are off for 3 months consecutively, usually here. So the way that FMLA works, if you work at a company that has more than 50 employees, and you've been at this company for a year or more, it doesn't actually always translate to a year. It could be a little more than a year if you work part-time, because it's by hours. I don't remember the exact amount of hours, but it is on the website that we're going to actually link to this video. But it is standard full-time is a year. And what does FMLA do? So FMLA is save your ass is basically what I call it. What it does. But that doesn't mean that you could be a rien and like, you know, do whatever you want at work. Right? That doesn't mean that you should not go to work or call in sick or whatever whenever you can. Basically what FMLA does is that it protects your job from being let go due to whatever reason is the reason that you cannot make it there, or that you need to be out. So for example, we have kids with special needs. So when we had FMLA, it was because sometimes at the drop of a hat, I'll never forget one day, Justin was on the school bus and it got lost. And I literally just ran out of my job. Now, when I found out that they called me from Angels Reach, he hadn't gotten there. And they were very good about texting me and letting me know he got there. And that he hadn't gotten there, and they thought it was a little strange. They waited a little bit. They called me. They waited a little longer. And at this point, thank God that they were like that and that they would call us all the time. It had been almost an hour and the bus was lost. Luckily, he was unharmed and everything else. But I'm pretty sure that patient that I left on the hold is still waiting for me. Because... Hello? I ran out. Now, if you do this in any other job and you don't have this, I guarantee you someone's going to come and reprimand you the next day. You just can't run out of your job.
Right. We're not telling anyone
either run out either. It's very different when you don't have a kid with special needs. Somebody else can take care of your kid. Right? You could leave them with a sister. You could leave them
and when they're older,
it might
you can leave them alone for a while,
right? Or with a sibling or whatever. But when you have a kiddo with special needs that their needs are very profound, you know, especially like in my case, I couldn't do that. So basically, what this does is it protects your job from being reprimanded or let go over these situations. So we would have probably never gotten by last year. Yes, my husband's job is pretty understanding to the situation, but they also have to be understanding to the situation because he has the FMLA. As you know, many of you know, Justin was hospitalized a bunch of times between 2022 and 2023. During that time, we spent most of every waking hour in the hospital. My husband still had a job to go to. Now, when he's at work, well, he was only missing for the purpose of our son and under his FMLA. And when he's at work, he is at work. Like, he is a star employee when he's at work. But when he can't be at work, he's protected. You will need to, that doesn't mean you're going to get paid. That just means you're not going to get fired. That's very important. You will still need to use your PTO if you have a job that has PTO available for you. And you may...
And if you run out?
And if you run out, you run out. You're not going to get paid. But for me, it was more important to know that I had a job to go back to after any issue. You weren't going to lose your job over it.
Right. Now, a sidebar, not just a little... That doesn't mean, because it's happened, that doesn't mean that just because you have FMLA, you will not get fired.
Right.
Right? And by this I mean, no, they're not going to fire you because you haven't been there or you come in late multiple times and blah, blah, blah. They can't use that.
Right. So now, listen, if you tell them I came in late 3 times last week because I overslept, that's a different story. But if you came in late 3 times and you still within your FMLA allowable time, which we'll go into how much that is, and you can also find that on their website. But if it's due to if you have your hours and it's due to that particular situation, then you're fine. But you just can't like be out for other reasons and expect there to be no consequences.
They're fed up. They can find other things.
Reasons. Oh yeah.
Other reasons.
Listen, there's shitty bosses everywhere, and that's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is.
So, and here in Florida,
even more so. I don't know how that works or what the laws are, but I've never seen somebody lose their job and get severance pay in Florida. Is that even a thing here? I've never seen that.
Not anymore.
I've never seen that. However, I've seen it in like other states up north. I lived in New Jersey, and I remember it's very different.
But it used to happen.
It used to? I don't know.
It used to like many moons ago. But after a while, you know, no overtime, no severance pay, ni un carajo.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Y si puede, coge unemployment.
Yeah.
Y busca tu trabajo.
And then that's another thing. So, yes, you can't just do whatever you want at work and think that the FMLA is going to cover you. No. The FMLA, so basically, let's say you work at 8 and you have to come in at 9 because you're having a problem and you have your FMLA due to your child and you're having a problem and you have to come in at 9. They're not going to take a whole day of FMLA. They're going to take an hour from your FMLA allowable time. So there's a lot of hours. It's very hard to run out unless there's a major issue. But for the most part, you don't just run out of it very quickly because the amounts that you get or that you're allowed is there's 2 different types of FMLA. There is a continuous amount and there is, or a continuous FMLA. And there is a intermittent FMLA. The ones we had were intermittent.
Right.
And so the amounts differ and they mean different things.
Yes.
So intermittent means exactly what it is. You get 60 days a year from calendar year, from like January to December. You get 60 days a year that you're able to use that time. Again, you might not get paid if you don't have PTO or depending on the rules of your PTO usage in your company. But it's going to take a long time for you to use up 60 days because remember, you use an hour. They're not taking a whole day. They're only taking an hour.
Right.
So that would leave you with over 59 hours. So it's not you don't run out very quickly. Now, it's 60 days per year if you take it intermittently. But if you take it continuous, it is 90 days. The 90 days, so I don't know if, I'll use that as an example. I had a 60-day intermittent FMLA. And I hadn't used a lot of it. I had used some of it. But then I needed to go on maternity leave. So I changed my FMLA, or not changed. I wouldn't say I changed it. But I suddenly went from being on an intermittent FMLA to a continuous FMLA. Mm-hmm. They were for different reasons, but you can't really have two at the same time. Right. So it shifts to a 90 day. They take the 60 or whatever you've already used from your intermittent, they take it away from 90. And that is the allowable time that you are allowed to be out during your maternity leave.
Yeah.
So some employers are great employers and they'll be like, yeah, but you should still have your 3 months. And that's how it should be. I did get my
some bosses are shitty.
And some bosses are like, or some companies, and I get it. You know, they may really need somebody in that position.
And how do you go about it?
So we're gonna actually post a link to the website for FMLA. This is I believe is it all of the US? I'm not sure, but I believe it is. But all of the information is on there. So when you go onto the website and you print their documents, it's been a while. It's usually like 3 or 4 pages, which gives you all the instructions.
Right.
But basically what you're going to do is you're going to fill all the medical part, all the information part, whether you want it intermittent and all that stuff. And then you're going to take one of the pages, like a 2 or 3 page document. One of the pages is going to go to your doctor. Your doctor's going to sign off on it and fill it out, and then you're going to turn it into your employer. And then your employer needs to approve it, which if you've been there for 12 months on a full-time position, and you have, and you're with a company that has 50 employees or more, they're not supposed to deny your request for FMLA. That would be a whole other issue. Your employer would then need to file it with the HR department, and your employer should be keeping track of how you're using it. But don't depend on them. Try to have a spreadsheet. My husband keeps a spreadsheet, and that's how I did it too. And you could put formulas in there, and you can be deducting it from your hours. Usually it usually goes backdated to the day that so let's say they take a week for it to go through HR or whatever, it usually goes backdated. But then let's say that it took a week, but you had an emergency and you had to be out for a few days, you're not going to get reprimanded for being out for a few days because it will go backdated to the day that you turned in the form. Also, it's not only for a family member or for somebody that you are the caretaker of. It can also be for yourself. So let's say that you have a medical condition. You just need to let them know when you're going to take an FMLA day. You just need to let them know.
And that also goes for cancer patients.
Yes, for any medical condition.
Right.
Or, so it's either yourself or someone that you're caring for. And it would just have to be a qualifying diagnosis.
Right.
Which, we're not going to do it anyways otherwise for... I know we said about how you could still get fired. And of course, the one that I said was obvious. I was up drinking.
Yeah, but
you're not going to say that, right? I was up drinking or whatever it is, or you're not performing as you should at work. But this is the thing. I've seen employers want to get rid of employees because the FMLA is already becoming a problem for them. And they try to get rid of you. But here's the thing. They can't fire you and say it was something else. But they also have to be aware that let's say, this is what I would do, okay? If I were to get fired, if I'm at a full-time position, and I get fired, and I have FMLA, and I suspect that it's because they're tired of my FMLA. And they want to get somebody in there that can actually be there the time that, and they get rid of me and they tell me it's because of my performance. I'm going to have some questions if I haven't been written up before. If I haven't been talked to and I have warnings about my performance, then clearly there's a problem and that's fraudulent, and you should probably seek the help of an attorney or some kind of an advocate. Because here's the thing, they will do this. A lot of employers will do this. It's not the right thing, but they'll do it.
Yep.
And because you don't know any better, you just move on and you find another job. And honestly, you should. I wouldn't want to work in a place that has people like that either. But that doesn't mean that you don't have rights. And so what I would do in that case, I would be like, well, if I'm so bad at my position, where is this written? Because the reality of it is that most jobs will do a review at least once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do stuff that makes them not happy, like you are not performing as you should at work, or as how they expect you to perform at work or whatever, they're going to put it in some kind of a document. And they're going to do either like performance, a performance evaluation, or constructive like counseling, or whatever it is that it's called. They're going to do something to bring that to your attention, and they're probably going to have you sign it.
And
now,
to put it in your file.
In your file.
So it needs to be in the file.
Right. So let's say that they've already talked to you about the same issue that is not pertaining to FMLA a few times, and you're still up to the same stuff. They're probably going to fire you, and they're going to be right in doing so because you've already been told of this and nothing changed. But if they're telling you that your performance is lacking and you're not good at what you're doing and all this other stuff, and then they want to tell you that that's why they're firing you, but they've never told you this before, that's where you can probably fight this. And I mean, and you have to have an advocate or somebody that helps you out with this too, because sometimes it really is just better to move on, because it's going to cost you money to have an attorney and to,
right.
But they would be in the wrong in that case. And you can definitely, fight that. But basically what FMLA is going to do, it's not right. I've been hearing, so I'm on a lot of groups on Facebook, and the reason why I wanted to talk about FMLA today and why I brought it up, that we wanted to talk about this, is because I've been seeing a lot of moms, and dads too, but a lot of moms saying, I'm freaked out, I don't know what to do, I'm going to get fired. And it's usually an autism group or a special needs group.
For the most part, it happens to
us a lot, because we are the primary caretakers of our children, and we unfortunately have to pick up the slacks and run at the drop of a hat when these things happen. So it happens a lot. Or like, I can tell you, like with Justin, for instance, I can't just put Justin anywhere for summer camp, right? What do I do if I only have somebody to watch him because it's not just watch him. He requires a level of care that right. I just can't have somebody just watch him. He requires, like, if I go to work during the day, during the summer, he needs to be in a very specialized place.
The same thing, I mean, now not so much,
mm-hmm.
but Angel, and even Justin too.
Right.
They were runners.
Right.
It's not like you could say, can you watch them for a little bit, at least a few hours, so I could come back for lunch or whatever,
right.
o lo que sea, y lo puedes poner ahí a ver televisión o a jugar unos juguetes y que no sé qué, y ya está tranquilo. No,
mm-hmm.
They were the type that would break stuff, salen corriendo.
Right.
Not everybody will do that. It will take care of your child.
Right.
It's even family members will not take care of your child.
For sure. So, like, even now, I'm at a job that I was very clear from the very beginning that, and my situation's a little different with this particular position that I'm in, but I was very clear that I was not working while the kids are off. And that was already worked into my, I guess, position, right? And so I see a lot of moms, especially, that are freaked out because they don't have a plan for their kids. Or they have somebody that's taking care of them, but only to 12. What do they do for the next 4 hours?
Spring break.
Spring break. Not only that, can we talk about it? I don't know about everywhere else or if anybody outside of Florida is watching us, but we have a ton of like teacher planning days and days that like there's no school for God knows what reason, because it's not a holiday. Those days, your job still expects you to be there. You know.
And then what do you do?
When I see a daycare close on President's Day, that just like irks me and it boils my blood, because I'm like, what do you need a daycare for if you're not going to open on? Now I understand on like a national holiday that's like, because yes, President's Day, what's another one, like Memorial Day, those days everything's closed, right? But what up, and not President's Day is not closed. Martin Luther King is not closed. You know what I mean? Like the bank could be closed, national, you know, like Congress and, you know, all the like anything that has to do with the government, the post office, those things are going to be closed. But I will tell you, like when I worked at the University of Miami making appointments, we were there on Martin Luther King. We were there on President's Day. We weren't there Memorial Day. There was like 5 holidays. So it's New Year's Day, Memorial, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Those are the only days we were closed. All the other holidays, not only that, there's newer holidays too, which I won't go into that now. But they're always inventing new holidays. But anyway, all those holidays that the majority of the people that if you don't work for the government and you don't work for a bank, you have to work. What do you do with your kiddos those days? There's no school. And a lot of daycares are not closing for those days too. So.
Look at it. Pero también, you cannot leave them just in any daycare.
No, right.
Or in any, you know, with any person.
No,
or with
you can't.
That's
because their level of care. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
The level of care that a child with autism needs most of the time, 90.
Absolutely.
I would say 99%.
And I know, like, we bring up the moms a lot because I know the moms pick up so much of all of this. But honestly, like, if you are a dad and you have a job that's a full-time position and if you qualify for FMLA, it's not going to hurt you in any way to just have it on the back burner, like it's there. Right. Because what if something happens to your wife and she's not feeling well and your child has an emergency and has to or something happens and you have to pick up your child? Anything could happen to us at the drop of a hat. Something happens, you can pick up the slack and you're not going to get fired. Especially when you're like, if you're the primary breadwinner, that's huge. So.
Pero, también we go back to, there's a lot of single moms.
Yeah.
Y ahí es donde también it's like, it tightens up the, you know.
Of course. Like I've actually seen a few moms be like, I'm so worried. I've had to leave work early 3 times in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to get fired. Nobody should be getting fired for something that is totally beyond their control.
And now schools are getting better. But before, it was one of those things, we can handle your kid. Something's going on, come and pick him up.
Yeah, that was a big...
Todavía pasa.
Yeah.
It still happens.
It still happens. I see it all the time. And first of all,
it still goes on.
That's a whole other topic that we'll have to discuss about IEPs or something like that.
Right.
But schools do better.
Yeah.
You should not be calling your a parent to come pick up a child.
They have.
First of all, because from the behavior standpoint, if the child is acting up due to not wanting to be at school, and then you call mom and mom comes to pick up the child, guess what? You're totally reinforcing that behavior and you're going to have a very interesting day tomorrow. So
and
that's
a whole other.
And it's not going to stop and it's only going to keep happening because, I do this, you call mom, I go home. It's not that hard. And
schools, I want to say some schools are doing better.
They've gotten better.
But
I see it a lot.
antes eso era un relajo.
No.
Eso no es un relajo.
Yeah.
A mí me llamaban, mira que no.
Yeah.
I was like,
Justin
what?
used to be in a school that the reason I put him there, and this is a very popular
Sorry to
school.
interrupt you. I remember, me llamaron.
Yeah.
Ángel salió corriendo de la clase. ¿Cómo que salió corriendo de la clase? ¿Y
Did
dónde
you-
está? No, sí, ya lo tenemos que... I was like...
Can you please... That's another thing. Schools, can you clarify when you call parents? So, Justin's old school used to do this. You know what? I'll say that because I was going to say something not great about them, but I'll say that because that's nice. You know, we're going to try to be positive today instead.
Yes.
But his current school does the same thing. So the nurse called me today to tell me that he takes a medication at school that she only has one left, whatever, you know, like what we're talking about, what do you want me to do? Do you want to come tomorrow? Because there's only one day left and then they go on spring break, whatever. So she calls me and she tells me, but every time they call from the school, the first thing they say is, hi, Miss Jovia, this is so-and-so, everything's good with Justin. This is so-and-so from so-and-so. And I'm like, thank you. First of all, I always say thank you for starting out the sentence that way. Because especially if you have a kiddo with special needs, when you look at the phone
Yes.
and you see they're calling you from the
Cada
school.
vez que yo veía que me llamaban de la escuela, yo decía,
Yeah.
oh, shit. ¿Y ahora qué?
Yeah.
¿Y ahora qué?
Yeah.
And one time...
Oh my God, remember when Angel was in the school in Hialeah on 16th and
Espérate, eso es lo que iba a decir yo.
that he ran out and...
Yes.
And
my
didn't you
mom-
find them?
No,
Somebody
my
found them.
mom found
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Ok, una vez me llaman para decir que Angel ran out of the class. I was like, what? But what happened? Is he gone? No, ya lo cogimos. I'm like, dude.
And I was so mad because
What
that
the
school
hell?
used to have a really cute program. It was a really nice program.
Sí, pero no.
But-
Y eso pasó, I want to say a few weeks later.
Mhm.
Mi mamá me llama crying, hysterical. And when I hear her, I'm like, uno está en el trabajo y uno dice, oh my God. Bueno, oh my God es que, mire, acabo de encontrar a Ángel. My mom and my dad used to pick up
Yeah,
both of the kids.
I
Both of the
remember.
kids were in the same school.
Yeah.
Mi papá iba para un lado que era where they would dismiss Sergio, y mi mamá would go to get Angel
Yeah.
in the other area. They would meet back up and get in the car. Mi papá va a buscar a Sergio. Cuando mi mamá va, ¿dónde está Ángel? Ah, no. Oh my God, ¿y Angel? La maestra parada en la puerta, dismissing the kids, y ella no se había dado cuenta que Ángel no estaba ahí. Cuando ella mira ahí adentro, Ángel no está, sale mi mamá corriendo y en ese momento sueltan al resto de la escuela, kids all over the place,
Yeah.
y ella se empieza a ir towards where my dad is and where they dismiss, Sergio or whatever, y ella se buscando. Mi mamá en esa escuela, fíjate que tú sabes que en las escuelas no te dejan que estar caminando. Mi mamá se metió y ella estaba all over the place. Encontró a Ángel on the other side, así. Y los niños pasándole por al lado y bumping into him y que si no sé qué, y él así con su backpack y con su lunch bag. Mi mamá me llama hysterical and tells me all of that. No, vaya. Es que, y that's the thing. Cuando uno recibe todos esos tipos de llamadas,
Yeah.
the stress, like, you can't concentrate. The stress, it's like,
Right.
up
And
the
you know,
roof.
it's almost like, even though at that point that situation was handled, you probably were more beneficial at that point. It was probably more beneficial for you to like cut your day short and head home because you weren't going to be very productive at work the rest of the day. And if I'm your employer, I'm going to prefer that you just go home rather than not be productive in your job for the rest of the day.
No, and thank God that my mom found him.
Yeah.
Arriba de todo.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Porque si no, si él le da por seguir andando, va
Oh
por
my
la
God.
puerta.
And that is like it's a busy street.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So yeah, hopefully we gave you some good information.
Yeah.
And
we're gonna link the website to be able to get the application for FMLA, and it does have, it's like, I want to say it's like 5 pages if I'm not mistaken, but some of the pages you're not supposed to write on. It's just it for your information.
Right. Instructions.
Yeah, like the instructions on how to do it. But yeah, it's very important to have it regardless of your situation. If you or someone that you care for has any medical diagnosis that sometimes may prevent you from being out from work, you need to have this.
Right. FMLA. If you don't have it, get it. All right, everybody.
We are out of here.
Follow us. Subscribe. You know, all that good stuff, right?
Like, comment, and share.
There you go. El dedo no se cae.
Yeah. As always.
La gente va a decir, ella siempre siguiendo con el dedo, pero es que people keep on scrolling. Dale un like.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. All right, guys. Have a good one. See you next week. Next Friday, new episode. We're SpectrumMamis, and we're here for you.
Bye.
Bye.